I put up a shotgun guide a few months ago and it was really well received, but one of the main requests was that I make a shotgun guide for slugs. So today we have sort of part 2 to that. This is going to cover all of the slug tips that I have. So let's hop into the guide. Okay, so if you're new to Destiny, basically there are two types of shotguns. You have your traditional pellet shotguns, which is what most people think of when they think of a shotgun, sort of a spread of bullets, pellets, and then your slug shotguns that will shoot a single slug round. Now, what does this mean as far as gameplay? Well, basically what it comes down to is the slug shotguns are basically more of a precision weapon than the pellet shotguns are. So why use one then? If it's harder to aim, then why would you use one? Well, there are some trade-offs with the slug shotgun. Basically, the main one is you are trading off the forgiveness or the ease of use mechanically for more range, so you can kill from further. Basically, you have to hit a headshot with a slug for it to kill in one shot, but the trade-off is that you have a lot more range than a pellet shotgun does. Specifically, most slugs will cap out at around 10.5 meters, whereas shotguns will cap out like around 6.5. I don't know. The numbers on that are always weird. It's hard to tell. It's very hard to test, but basically you're more or less double the range. Okay, so now that the sort of intro is out of the way, we'll start the actual tips. So the first thing I want to point out is that the main contender or enemy you will be dealing with are other shotgun players, but specifically other pellet shotgun users. Usually, maybe 90% of your shotgun fights will be against other pellet shotgun players. So you need to fully understand the interaction between the two. As the slug player, what is your advantage over the pellet player? Well, it's the range that we're talking about, right? So that 6-meter range on the pellet shotguns, that's where they're gonna have an advantage. And then outside of that, like that 6 to 10-ish meter range is where you have the advantage. So ideally you want to be contesting them in that window, right? Outside of their range, but still within yours. Obviously, this will take time to figure out. You need to be able to visualize that distance, but that just takes practice. So that is the main advantage you have there. You want to bait them into that range so you can sort of play to your weapon's strength. Now, the main thing you need to avoid, and I don't really know if there's a term for it or what to call it, but basically you don't want to get sort of handcuffed or I guess like jammed by a pellet shot at you. What I mean is, so take any corner, or I guess specifically the cubbies in a map like Endless Vale. These cubbies can be very dangerous for slug players or very strong for slug players depending on how you play them. If you're sliding into it while the enemy is there or while they are also sliding into it, you're basically going to get kind of jammed where you can't adjust to a headshot in time. Whereas if they have a pellet, they can just shoot you. They don't have to adjust. They just need to hit body and you're done. So that's sort of what I mean. You can't be sliding into other pellet players at corners because it's too hard to line up a shot. I mean, you can make it work. Sometimes you'll hit a headshot, whatever, but it's not to your advantage. And that's where you're really throwing away the advantage that a slug does have. So that is the main danger there. There are areas on all maps like this, mostly corners or into doorways, where a pellet player can just sort of jam you, kind of like jam your camera almost, so you can't like adjust to a headshot because they're too close to you, right? So that is a very big danger with a slug. But what do you do if that does happen to you, right? It's gonna happen. You're gonna mess up. You're not gonna know someone's there, whatever. It'll happen. Well, ideally you'll get good enough to where you can adjust and hit a headshot. It is possible. It's just not the strength, right? But I'm not at that level yet. I think that's pretty difficult to do. You'd have to sort of master these to be able to do that consistently. The easiest thing to do if you get stuck in that situation is to just body shot and melee them. That's it. Just 1-2. You can do it pretty quick. You'll pretty much beat anything that isn't another shotgun. This kills pretty much instantly. The only thing it will lose to is a pellet shotgun player that just hits you. But sometimes if you pull it off first, like you shoot first, you get it off in time, you're fast enough, you can actually still win. And it kind of revolves around them messing up, but it is possible. So definitely build this into like your muscle memory. A body shot melee is almost just as fast as lining up a headshot. Sometimes it can be faster. You just have to watch out for counter shotgun. Okay, another way to take advantage of this range is to use it with a high handling weapon such as a hand cannon. You can hit a body shot and then swap over to your hand cannon almost instantly and sort of finish off the kill, kind of like you can do with snipers and things like that. It's a very easy way to stay out of shotgun range. You can also do it like in reverse. You can start with the hand cannon, swap to the slug, finish off with the body shot. Basically anything to stay out of that range, right? You also avoid a lot of weird teleporting melee, like rubber band nonsense. You know, everyone knows if you play this game, like the melee lunge is not right, and that really hurts slugs. Like if someone starts rubber banding you like a Titan, they start like lunging back and forth on your screen. Good luck hitting a headshot, man. It's way too hard on slugs. I mean, it's hard with anything, but specifically trying to line up a headshot on that is just luck. So yeah, anything to avoid that scenario as well is going to be in your favor. Okay, now to sort of talk about some more strengths of the slugs. The first one is verticality. So you can actually shoot these in the air now. They kind of took that away for a while, but now I feel it's pretty much back to where it was. I feel no issues with jumping and shooting someone in the air. I think it's best on Hunter. And slugs in general, I think, are a lot better on Hunter, but you can use them on whatever, obviously. I'd say Titan, they're okay. I don't really see too many slug Warlock players. I feel like that's just not to the strength of the Warlock, but if you got any ideas on that, let me know. I will say I think Hunters are by far the best though. But anyway, the verticality, you can sort of jump up on angles. You can sort of like if you're on the low ground, they're on the high ground, you can kind of do a flyby, headshot them. You can also sort of be like playing a doorway with it if someone pushes in. A lot of times other shotgun players, if you're kind of like above them, they'll wait for you to be getting in their range, but you don't have to wait. You can just pull the trigger. So definitely a big advantage. This does take some getting used to, and like maybe certain roles on your shotguns, you got to run certain mods, you want Icarus, things like that, but you can definitely build into it, and it's really not that bad. Like this is definitely viable again. So yeah, get used to trying to learn how to use the verticality, because it's a big benefit of using a slug. The next spot where I think it's really good is it's actually in doorways. Now specifically not like sliding into a doorway, I don't think it's good, but sliding by a doorway. So if someone's like shooting in a doorway, you know they're in this room, you can kind of just do like a drive-by. Like you can just slide right past it, not into it, but past it, like perpendicular, and you can just pull the trigger and be on your way. It's like a legit drive-by, dude. You can just fly by, pull the trigger, headshot, move on. And you're pretty safe, like from that player. I mean, you could die from someone else, but from that player, there's really not much they can do unless they slide out on you with the pellet. But yeah, this is something I just have noticed. It's a very strong way to just kind of do like a drive-by. In general, sliding with slugs is actually pretty strong. I will say I like to run either T-steps, like if I was going to run a Warlock, but whatever buffs your slide, like the Stompies, the Dunes, whatever, I feel like it's actually pretty good. Specifically Stompies, I think, is what you'd run if you're on a slug. It just feels, I don't know, just the sliding into it is a very strong combo, sort of closing the gap and all that. And then more into what you should be running with a slug. I think the best class in the game for it is the Void Hunter on Invis. Yeah, it's just crazy. You can literally just walk up to people. You don't have to get right next to them. You can just walk up to people, get within range pretty easily. You can like, it's just a good combo because it lets you get into that range before they know. And then by the time they know, it's already too late because you're just going to one-shot them. So Invis is crazy on a slug. I think it's by far the best. I mean, Prismatic Hunter is just broken, so that's going to be good as well. Like I said, I do think Hunters take the best advantage of slugs just in general. But yeah, Void Hunter, Prismatic Hunter, very good. I've seen some Titans that are pretty good with Chaperone. I don't really know what the Titan build would be to use a slug, but let me know. Obviously, you can use it on anything, but it's definitely going to be better on some stuff than others. But yeah, I would recommend Void Hunter specifically. And then, I mean, Prismatic Hunter until they nerf it is also just going to be good in general. But yeah, those are probably the two class recommendations I would have. Now, as far as what slug you should be using, there's basically 2 or 3 that are very good. Chaperone is in a class of its own. That's the best slug in the game. It's not even close. It has all the stats. It has like a crazy exotic perk. You get insane range with it. Like, it's just gross when you get Roadborne. I mean, you don't have as much ammo these days as you used to, but I mean, you might as well still use it. Like, if you're gonna build around a slug, like you're going, I want to use a slug, what should I use? It should be Chaperone. The only time you should use a different one really would be like if you're trying to build around something else, you're like, I want to use ace, then you would, but I also want to use a slug, then you would use something else, right? So if you're not going to use chaperone in that top slot, you could use heritage. That's probably the next best up. And then in the energy slot, you do have duality. Duality is a slug. It's very good. It kind of gets the best of both worlds, right? So you don't get jammed in those corners like we're talking about. But if you don't want to use duality, Inquisitor is very good from Trials of Osiris. That's my personal favorite. I use that more than Chaperone even. I'm not big on Chaperone. Not because of Chaperone itself, just because I like to use an exotic hand cannon a lot of times, or at least a kinetic hand cannon. Yeah, Inquisitor very good. The one from Iron Banner is very good. Other than that, I think they kind of fall off, but there are some good options. Those are just sort of the top few. You want to look for things like opening shot, handling perks, same as normal shotguns, but basically the slugs, they kind of play like a close range sniper, right? It's not the same, it's more akin to that than a shotgun almost sometimes. I mean, there's still some stuff that's about the same, but it's really kind of a mixture of the two, right? You got the like body shot melees, so that's kind of more of a shotgun tactic, but then you also have the like playing your range and baiting. So yeah, the most important thing is to kind of learn that range and then start taking advantage of that, right? You want to bait people into that range. Sometimes you don't even need to move. You can kind of hold something at an angle where they'll peek with the primary, and then you just dome them, right? There's a lot more range than people expect. Like, even I'm surprised by using it sometimes. I'm like, wow, I just mapped that person. How is that even possible? But yeah, the range is pretty good, and the aim assist is pretty high. Like, it's pretty forgiving, so you can do a lot of like really crazy things with it. But yeah, that's really all there is to it. It's not much different than normal shotgunning. This is sort of just the differences between the two I wanted to point out. Essentially, like I said, you want to get into that range, you want to learn that range and sort of try to get people to challenge you in there, or force the engagements to be in that range, right? That's the key, and that's just going to come with playtime. But yeah, those are all the tips I have for slugs. Let me know if you have any more, but as always, I'm awake, and I'll see you guys next time.